Every morning, a man parks his 2011 Honda Civic in the same lot. The paint is faded, and there's a small dent in the rear bumper. Nothing out of the ordinary. His colleagues might assume he's financially struggling, potentially living paycheck to paycheck, or just one unfortunate event away from serious issues. However, what they don't realize is that he has amassed $4.2 million in index funds. His home is fully paid off, and his children's college expenses are completely covered. He could easily retire tomorrow if he chose to. He deliberately drives the Civic. Research from the book The Millionaire Next Door highlights that the average amount millionaires spend on cars is merely $31,367. Furthermore, a study by Experian concluded that 61% of individuals earning over $250,000 drive brands like Honda, Toyota, or Ford, rather than luxury cars from brands like BMW or Mercedes. They favor regular vehicles that can easily blend in with any American parking lot. In stark contrast, only 8% of individuals earning less than $100,000 own high-end cars, spending around $60,000 on vehicles while earning just $50,000 annually. This brings us to an intriguing observation. One group appears affluent, while the other truly possesses wealth, and they are hardly the same individuals. This discussion isn't focused on frugality, it revolves around grasping a financial concept that many overlook. Projecting a poor image might actually be one of the most vital financial tactics you could ever embrace. The evidence supporting this assertion is compelling. Individuals who genuinely create wealth often do not resemble those who merely seem wealthy. Thomas Stanley and William Danko dedicated years to exploring millionaires across the United States, and their findings dismantled common assumptions regarding the appearance of wealthy individuals. It turns out that 80% of millionaires are first-generation affluent, having built their fortunes independently, rather than inheriting them. About half have resided in the same house for over 20 years, and they are statistically more inclined to drive a Ford than a Bentley. Their research revealed that millionaires are often found in middle-class and blue-collar neighborhoods instead of wealthy areas, a discovery that surprised the researchers who had anticipated the opposite. The rationale behind this phenomenon is straightforward. High-income professionals often use their earnings to fund luxury items and showcase wealth. They're engaged in a visibility contest, eager for others to notice their success. In contrast, true wealth accumulators play a different game, comprehending that each dollar spent on appearances is a dollar unavailable for compounding over 3 decades. Dave Ramsey's investigation into millionaire behaviors corroborates this trend. The top 10 car brands driven by millionaires begin with Toyota in the first position, followed by Honda and Ford. Brands like BMW only make an appearance at number 6, and Mercedes doesn't even make the list. Notable individuals like Jeff Bezos drove a Honda Accord for years, while Mark Zuckerberg was seen in an Acura TSX. Larry Page, co-founder of Google, owned a Toyota Prius, and Warren Buffett still resides in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. These individuals are not unable to afford better options. They have made a conscious choice to prioritize genuine wealth over the need to project an affluent image. The underlying psychology of this decision uncovers critical insights about wealth creation. The term conspicuous consumption was introduced over 100 years ago by sociologist Thorstein Veblen, who observed that consumers often make purchases not only for practicality, but also as status symbols. Luxury items do not simply consist of high-quality materials. They narrate a story. A $50,000 watch serves the exact same purpose as a $50 timepiece. The additional $49,950 buys the ability to signal one's social standing. Research indicates that individuals who interpret money as a symbol of success and power often report lower levels of financial satisfaction. They frequently make expensive purchases to impress others, often neglecting to monitor or plan their overall expenditures. Ironically, the drive to appear wealthy leads to circumstances that hinder actual wealth accumulation. Each leased luxury vehicle translates to a monthly cost They could ideally be invested, while every designer accessory represents shares of index funds that could have been acquired. The opportunity cost associated with these status symbols can be measured in years of compounded interest. A study conducted by Empower in 2025 revealed that 62% of everyday millionaires continue to budget, seek bargains, and avoid lavish lifestyles, even after achieving million-dollar wealth. They recognize that the habits that cultivate wealth are also the ones that sustain it. The public display of wealth can create complications that living invisibly can conveniently avoid. According to research by Javelin, identity theft affects 6.4% of the general population, but increases to 8.1% for individuals with $1 million or more in assets. A joint study from Experian and the Department of Justice found that affluent Americans are 43% more vulnerable to identity theft compared to the general populace. The visibility of wealth essentially makes one a target. High net worth individuals often face what security experts term whaling attacks, where scams are tailored to deceive wealthy individuals, utilizing profiles culled from social media and other publicly accessible information. Synthetic identity fraud has emerged as the most rapidly expanding financial crime, where criminals create seemingly legitimate identities with a mix of real and invented data to open accounts, divert funds, or even compromise an entire family's financial stability. The Federal Trade Commission has reported that Americans lost a staggering $10.3 billion to fraud in 2023, with investment fraud alone accounting for $4.6 billion of those losses, specifically targeting affluent individuals. In summary, appearing wealthy broadcasts exactly what assets you possess, while projecting a less affluent image can serve as a protective barrier. The social dynamics associated with visible wealth foster pressures that accumulate over time. Driving an upscale car creates assumptions about one's ability to afford expensive meals, while wearing designer attire can lead colleagues to expect you to cover the bill. Living in a wealthy neighborhood can elevate baseline spending expectations due to the spending patterns of your surroundings. Research on social dynamics indicates that status is comparative. It hinges on the perceived abundance relative to others. In environments characterized by stark inequality, signals of status become all the more aggressive. Behavioral studies show that individuals with higher incomes tend to separate themselves from lower income groups, manifesting in divergent schools, neighborhoods, and social circles. Over time, this breeds social echo chambers that reinforce class distinctions. A person driving an old Honda retains access to a broader spectrum of social connections, facing no assumptions based on perceived wealth. They aren't expected to cover additional costs, nor are they resented for possessing more. This social invisibility offers something money cannot genuinely purchase: authentic relationships. Research highlights that affluent individuals often encounter a paradox of increased power juxtaposed with diminished trust. Evaluating relationships becomes complicated, as it's challenging to determine if someone appreciates them or their financial status. Those who present as middle class while harboring true wealth avoid this social complexity. Their connections are centered on personal attributes rather than financial standings. Their interactions are free from the bias of perceived economic class. The authors of The Millionaire Next Door developed a concept that categorizes wealth accumulators and destroyers. Prodigious accumulators of wealth are labeled PAWs, while underaccumulators of wealth are known as UAWs. These classifications hinge more on behavior than income. For example, a janitor earning $50,000 a year might be a PAW in contrast to a physician making $700,000 annually. Spending habits are the clearest indicators, not salaries. The calculations are straightforward. Multiply your age by your pre-tax annual income and divide by 10. A 40-year-old with an income of $150,000 should have a net worth of around $600,000. Those who fall below that curve are under accumulators, opting to spend their income instead of building wealth. UAWs indulge in luxury and comfort, often being highly educated professionals in demanding careers. While they might grasp the concept of compound interest, they don't employ it in their behaviors. Their spending habits are driven by a better-than mentality, where each purchase is an attempt to signal superiority over others. These financial decisions, termed million-dollar choices, could have led to substantial wealth had different choices been made. For instance, one couple's three-pack-a-day smoking habit over 46 years resulted in a cumulative cost surpassing their home's worth by $33,000. Had they instead invested that money, their portfolio would have surpassed $2 million. Similar dynamics apply to status purchases. Consider the difference in returns from investing the price gap between a $30,000 car and an $80,000 vehicle over 25 years at an annual return of 7%. The difference amounts to approximately $270,000. Cultural influences that instigate visible consumption begin early in life and are consistently reinforced. Observations made by Stanley and Danko indicate that youths are indoctrinated with the belief that those who possess wealth must spend it lavishly. If one doesn't display their success, others will assume they lack it. This belief is pervasive, stemming from various sources such as television portraying grand lifestyles, social media depicting curated consumption, and advertisements promising transformative purchases. The prevailing message? Wealthy individuals appear wealthy. If you aspire to be seen as successful, you must showcase it through consumption. Sadly, this belief is fundamentally flawed, though its implications are tangible. This narrative illustrates how many individuals allocate all their income merely to uphold appearances. They often finance a lifestyle that suggests affluence, while their actual financial standing deteriorates. By the time they reach 55, they may possess a closet overflowing with high-end items, yet their retirement savings may be inadequate for their needs. In contrast, those who reject this mentality tend to accumulate wealth quietly. They focus on investing while others indulge in consumption, choosing to build their wealth instead of showcasing it. At 55, these individuals enjoy options that the overt spenders will likely miss out on. The trend of understated luxury signifies a shift away from years of ostentatious spending. As reported in the 2024 luxury report from Bain & Company, wealthy consumers are increasingly valuing longevity and craftsmanship over unnecessary extravagance. Stealthy wealth is emerging as a contemporary form of social currency. A survey by Accenture in 2024 revealed that 52% of global shoppers now prefer influencers who highlight practical luxury rather than extravagant displays. Society is gradually embracing a more understated approach. After the conclusion of the TV series Succession, searches for a character named Loriana surged worldwide. The appeal wasn't rooted in flashy brands or overt logos, but rather the notion of wealth that can only be recognized by those who truly understand. This change signifies a deeper cultural shift, highlighting an awareness that openly displayed wealth comes with its own set of challenges, which hidden wealth manages to avoid. The practical benefits of appearing less affluent span various financial interactions. Negotiating can become more favorable when the other party remains unaware of your financial situation. A car dealer may treat the owner of a Honda Civic differently compared to someone driving a Mercedes. Contractors might adjust their quotes based on the neighborhood they enter. Warren Buffett famously remarked that he never feared overcharging because his humble appearance masked his wealth. This modesty provided him a negotiating edge that visible affluence would have negated. Service providers and contractors often adjust their pricing based on the perceived ability to pay, leading those who appear wealthy to face higher costs, while ordinary-looking individuals receive standard rates. These price discrepancies accumulate into significant financial implications over time. The person who appears affluent tends to incur a wealth tax on their purchases, while those who blend in pay regular prices. Employment dynamics also favor those who are wealthy in a discreet manner. Colleagues who see you as struggling tend to treat you as a companion, while employers who view you as ambitious assume you rely heavily on your job. Clients who perceive you as modest are less likely to harbor resentment about your fees. Once visible wealth enters a professional relationship, the dynamics shift. Colleagues might question your reasons for still working if they perceive you as already successful. Employers may doubt your commitment, and clients might suspect they are paying too much. The discreetly affluent employee can maintain the illusion of needing their job while enjoying the security of not actually being dependent on it. This position is extraordinarily powerful, allowing them to take risks that desperate employees cannot afford, negotiating from a stance of strength while appearing to negotiate from a position of need. Family dynamics also improve with hidden wealth. Research from The Millionaire Next Door unveiled a negative relationship between the amount of financial assistance received by affluent parents' children and their ability to accumulate wealth independently. The more financial support adult children receive, the less they manage to generate through their own efforts. Providing money to adult children can imply a lack of faith in their ability to succeed on their own. Children may struggle to differentiate between the wealth they earn and what they receive as gifts, leading them to overestimate their productivity, which fosters unhealthy spending patterns. Affluent parents face persistent requests for financial help, causing their children to anticipate inheritances rather than striving to establish their foundations. Family members may develop resentments based on perceived inequalities. However, parents who appear middle class but are quietly wealthy can extend support strategically while avoiding social pressure, allowing their children to cultivate independence without awareness of a safety net. These relationships remain uncomplicated by visible financial disparities. The psychological advantages of invisible wealth are challenging to measure, but undeniably significant. Studies on hedonic adaptation demonstrate that while wealth increases may yield temporary boosts in happiness, baseline levels ultimately revert. A luxury vehicle may excite for a few weeks before it becomes ordinary, and an impressive watch may captivate for months before fading into the background. Each visible purchase tends to yield diminishing emotional benefits, while simultaneously draining financial resources. In contrast, unseen wealth functions differently, creating a consistent sense of security that does not dissipate. Individuals with hidden wealth possess the confidence that they can manage any emergency, walk away from any unfavorable situation, and secure their future. This underlying assurance shapes their decision-making process, leading to less fear-driven choices, less transactional relationships, and reduced financial anxiety during sleep. The person whose wealth is visible feels continuous pressure to sustain their display, continually needing to make new purchases to prove their success. This never-ending cycle is absent for those who are discreetly wealthy. They have opted out of the consumption race entirely, separating their identity from their purchases. The long-term compounding effects of their choices widen the gap further. For instance, an individual earning $200,000 a year and saving 25% would accumulate $50,000 per year before investment gains. After 25 years, at an average return of 7%, this would grow to nearly 3.4 million. Conversely, someone with the same earnings who saves 5% while spending excessively would amass around $10,000 annually. After the same duration, their total would only reach approximately $680,000. The first person, despite appearing middle class, is genuinely wealthy, while the latter, despite seemingly affluent, is financially vulnerable. After 25 years, the discreetly wealthy individual can boast a net worth 5 times greater than the visible spender. They possess options that the overt spender cannot fathom, and security that they will never realize. The visible spender may reminisce about lavish purchases while accumulating a wardrobe of luxury goods or sharing tales of extravagant experiences. However, despite the choices both have made, only one has made decisions that facilitate long-term growth. The lifestyle characterized by those like the millionaire next door fundamentally redefines success. It's not about what you own, but rather what you don't have to purchase. Success encompasses the freedom that comes from unspent money. That older model Honda Civic in the parking lot symbolizes something that its owner's colleagues may never appreciate. It represents a decision to prioritize growth over social accolades and to focus on building financial security instead of showcasing status. Those who notice this modest car and feel a sense of superiority are likely the same individuals who will be working into their 70s, lacking options. In contrast, the driver of that Honda could decide to stop working tomorrow if they choose. Appearing less affluent serves as a strategic advantage that offers dividends in every aspect of life, protecting wealth from those who target visible luxury, safeguarding relationships from financial misunderstandings, preserving negotiating positions, sustaining children's motivation for personal success, and providing psychological security without adaptive shifts in happiness. The cost of this strategy is minimal, with some assuming you have less than you do and others underestimating your success. However, these are advantages, not drawbacks. Impressing strangers has never been the goal. It has always been about achieving freedom. Every millionaire who drives a modest vehicle understands a lesson that many never grasp. Wealth is determined by what you retain rather than what you reveal. If you enjoyed this exploration of wealth dynamics, feel free to subscribe to Billy Finance for more insightful content. We appreciate your time today, and we'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments.